This video is for Algebra section 11.4, the Pythagorean theorem. Our learning goal: the learner will apply knowledge of the Pythagorean theorem to find missing measures in right triangles. So if they gave you two sides, you could find the missing side. The learner will apply knowledge of the Pythagorean theorem to determine if three side lengths can represent the sides of a right triangle. So we'd use Pythagorean theorem to see if it can be a right triangle or not. Our vocabulary: Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. The really important one for you to know is hypotenuse. Hypotenuse has to be the longest side of the triangle. It is always opposite the right angle. So it's always across from the right angle, and it's always the longest side. Prerequisite skills: solving radical equations. You have to be able to solve these kind of equations to be able to do this. And you need to know the parts of the right triangle to put them in the right places. And the homework is the 10.4 practice evens. We'll have two different algorithms to follow today because they're asking you to do two different things. The first page is asking you, when they give you the two sides, to find the missing side. So for the first page, you'll find the hypotenuse because you need to know which one is c, plug the numbers into the Pythagorean theorem, and solve the equation. Find the missing letter. For the second page, they're going to be asking you, they're going to give you three sides and ask you if it can be a right triangle. So again, you have to find the hypotenuse. They don't give you any pictures, so you need to figure out which one is the longest, and then plug the numbers into the Pythagorean theorem and simplify them. When the equation is all worked out, if it comes out to a true statement, like 144 equals 144, then that means that it is a right triangle. If they come out different or false, then it's not a right triangle. Okay, so those are the basic steps you'll be following. On to some sample problems. We're going to start with number 1 on the first page. So this is going to be where they're looking for a missing side. And in this case, they give you the picture. So if you're looking at the picture, basically you have the 30, the 40, the right angle, and you're looking for C. So hypotenuse is across from the right angle. So even though we don't know the length, it points at the hypotenuse. So that means that's C. So a squared plus b squared equals c squared. 30 squared means 30 times 30, should be 900. 40 squared, 40 times 40 would be 1600, and c squared. 1600 plus 900 should be 2500. Take the square root. And you can do a tree if you do not know the square root of this, but I would say you can look at this and tell, because you know the square root of 25 is 5, and there's 2 zeros on the end. So basically you should know that 50 times 50 would give you the 2500. If not, you can do the tree and come up with 50. So C equals 50. So that's my answer. Number 3. Again, they gave me a picture. This time they gave me 25, 25, my right angle, and the C. So again, this is pointing at my hypotenuse. So that's the hypotenuse. So it means a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Keep in mind, it doesn't matter which one's a and which one's b. It doesn't matter because you're going to add them together anyway. As long as you know which one's c, just plug in the other ones as a and b. 25 squared means 25 times 25. If you don't know that, do the multiplication. Some of you should know that. So you do come up with 625 plus 625 equals c squared. Add these two together, you get 1250. And then take the square root. Again, or sorry, not again, but you don't know the square root for this one, so you're going to need to do the tree. I would start out with 125 times 10, and that's 25 times 5. That's 5 times 5. And that's 2 times 5. Circle any pairs. Underline that leftover so you don't forget about it. So I have a 5 and a 5 that I can take out. That becomes 25. And inside I still have a square root of 2. So that's my answer. Okay, you're not going to get an actual number. You're going to leave it as a simplified radical. Alright, I'm going to erase the page. Number 5. This time they're giving you the letters and they're telling you to plug them in, so you can't assume in this case because of the way that they're labeling it and because of the directions. It says if C is the measure of the hypotenuse, so C is always going to be the hypotenuse. They gave us A and B, so 9 squared plus 12 squared equals C squared. 9 squared, 9 times 9 is 81. 12 times 12 is 144. 144 plus 81, do the math. 225 is C squared. If you don't know the square root of that, do the tree. I would say that's 25 times 9, because if it was $2.25, it would take me 9 quarters. And that's 5 and 5, and that's 3 and 3. Circle and circle. I don't have any leftovers, which means it is a perfect square. So 5 times 3 gives me 15. So C is 15. Number 7. So I'm going to look for A this time. I don't know what A is. So that becomes A squared plus 6 squared equals 8 squared. A squared plus 36 equals 64. Subtract 36. A squared, 64 minus 36 should give me 28. Square root of 28, I don't know, so 4 times 7. 2 times 2, circle the 2, underline the 7. A is 2 square root of 7. Alright, one left on this page. Let's see if we can fit it on here. This time we have A is the square root of 5, so you're going to square the square root of 5 plus square the square root of 10 equals C squared. Square the square root of 5, I should get 5. Square the square root of 10, I should get 10. So 15 equals C squared. Take the square root. If you did the tree, you'd have 3 and 5, no pairs, so you just leave it alone. So C is the square root of 15. Alright, I'm going to clear that, go on to the second page. On the second page it says determine whether the following side measures form right triangles. So this time they're giving you 3 numbers and they're going to ask you if they can be right triangles or not. First thing you need to do, again, following that algorithm, find the hypotenuse. So if I look at number 1, how are you going to know which one is the hypotenuse? You should be looking for the longest side. So 50 has to be my hypotenuse, so that has to be C. So 14 squared plus 48 squared equals 50 squared. And you've got to do some math here. Most of us don't know those numbers off the top of our head. I don't. So I have 196, and then 48 squared. So I get 2304. And 50 squared you should be able to do in your head. 50 times 50 should give you 2500. If not, you can do the math. Add these two things together, so 2304 plus 196. I get 2500 equals 2500. Is that a true statement or a false statement? Does 2500 equal 2500? That's true, so it is a right triangle. It can be. Alright, moving on to number 3. We got 8, 8, and 10. Longest one is always going to be hypotenuse, so 8 can be A, 8 can be B, 10 can be C. 8 squared is 64 plus 64 equals 100. 128 equals 100. Is that true? No. So that is not a right triangle. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and erase this so I have some space. Number 5, we have 15, 20, and 25. 25 is the longest one, so it does have to be your hypotenuse. So 15 squared plus 20 squared equals 25 squared. 15 squared, most of you should know in your head, is 225. 20 squared is going to be 400. 25 squared, some of you know. If not, do the math. It should be 625. 400 plus 225 is 625. That does equal 625, so it is a right triangle. Number 7. 2, 2, and the square root of 8. You do have to kind of think about this. Make sure you know which one's the longest side. Square root of 8, in your head you should know, well, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, so it's somewhere between 2 and 3. So that means it's longer than 2. The other two sides are both 2, so the square root of 8 has to be my hypotenuse. So 2 squared plus 2 squared equals the square root of 8 squared. 2 squared is 4, 2 squared is 4, square root of 8 squared is 8. Does 8 equal 8? Yes, that is a right triangle. Number 9. We have 25, 30, and 35, so 35 has to be your hypotenuse. So 25 squared plus 30 squared equals 35 squared. 25 squared, you should know, is 625. 30 squared is 900. I don't know what 35 squared is, so I have to do the math. 5 times 5 is 25. 15 plus 2 is 17. 0, 15. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10. 5, 12, 2, 1. So I got 1225. 900 plus 625 is 1525. That does not equal 1225. So it is not a right triangle. Number 11. 18, 80, and 82. And actually, I'm going to erase this so I have space because I don't know what those are squared. So I know I'm going to need a little more space. Number 11 was 18, 80, and 82. So 82 has to be your hypotenuse. So 18 squared plus 80 squared equals 82 squared. And I don't know any of those. So 18 times 18, 64. And 1 times 8 is 8, plus 6 is 14. 0, 8, 1, 4, 12, 324. So 324 plus 80 times 80 you should be able to do in your head, because 8 times 8 is 64, and there's going to be 2 zeros. 82 squared, 82 times 82. It's 4 and 16, 0, 16, 65, 4, 12, 7, 6, 6,724. So when I add these two together, 3 plus the 4, 67, 24. Are those the same? Sorry. Yes, they are, so it is a right triangle. On to 13. 100, 200, and 300. 300 has to be your hypotenuse because it is the longest side. 100 squared plus 200 squared equals 300 squared. 100 squared, you know you're going to end up with 4 zeros because you're going to double those. And there's going to be a 1 in the front because 1 times 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so 10,000. Same thing here, 2 squared is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And same thing here, 3 times 3 is 9 with 4 zeros. 10,000 plus 40,000 is 50,000. Does that equal 90,000? No. Sorry, I missed it. But no, it does not equal it, so it is not a right triangle. Number 15. 700 plus 1,000, whoops, I forgot my squared, equals 1,300 squared. 7 squared is 49 with the 4 zeros. This one I'm going to end up with 1,000 times 1,000, so 1 times 1 is 1, and 6 zeros. 4, 5, 6. And 13 times 13, you should know, is 169, and 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. And a comma, and a comma. And 490,000 plus 1 million. Well, that's 1,490,000. And over here, we got 1,690,000. So those are not the same. It is not a right triangle. Okay, so we have done all the odds in the study guide. Should give you a good idea how to do these. That is the end of this video.